What is crack-a-lacking, Hardwood Knocks listeners? I am Dan Havali, coming at you very shortly with my fantabulous co-host Adam Frommel. We have our usual mailbag today, but while we were recording and had a great time in locker room, come join us. Sundays, 4 p.m. as of right now. A bunch of people rolled through this time. It was great. The Damian Lillard sort of news broke from Chris Haynes that said within the article basically that Dame might be inclined to ask out because of his lack of confidence in the Blazers to build a contender, and he wasn't happy with the response to the coaching search where it was the backlash was being put on him, I guess, by a ton of fans. We tackled that live, but I wanted to give just some more nuanced thoughts on it. The hiring of Chauncey Billups, and this is why I'm going to keep it quick, is because, and I mentioned this in the podcast when we actually talk about the Billups hire separately before the Haynes news broke, we don't need to add to the male caucasity commenting on this. Listen to women, listen to how they're feeling. Those feelings matter, those sentiments matter, and they are incredibly important. But the Billups hire itself is not on Damian Lillard. That organization in Portland had the chance to be the first one to hire a female head coach in Becky Hammon. And the hiring of a female head coach is overdue. I don't care how you feel about maybe if you thought Mike D'Antoni was a better fit for Portland. It doesn't have to be Portland. It could be New Orleans. It could have been Boston. It's overdue. There are female assistants, and Becky Hammon chief among them, that have the experience, the credentials. Carol Lawson's coaching Duke, like head coaches in college. They have the credentials to do this. So it's overdue. The Blazers had the chance to be the first team to ever hire a female head coach. They opted not to, which in itself is, if that's the decision, that's the decision. However, I'm not going to say they made a big performance out of Becky Hammon being a finalist, but it was led to believe that Becky Hammon was a finalist, but then reporting's come out that they always zeroed in on Chauncey Billups. So you went from having the chance to either maybe hiring a homegrown name, perhaps it's someone who's not as known, one of these, former assistant, current assistant in Portland, or the first ever female head coach in the NBA, and you then opted for someone who was accused of sexual assault, rape, decades ago. At this point, it was settled. It was a civil matter, I believe. I've read a ton on it. I'm probably stumbling through words because maybe I'm a little nervous or anxious here to talk about it. The allegations, people are going to point out that they're allegations, that there were no criminal charges brought. Believe women, listen to women. That doesn't mean you have to presume that so-and-so is guilty, but it happened, and there doesn't seem like there's been this huge display of public atonement from Billups, who hasn't, to the best of my knowledge, talked about it publicly. And I think what it more so matters here is that the NBA is a privilege, and I'm more concerned about the victims that are seeing someone of his status continue to elevate. And it's not even the woman that went through the matter with Billups. To call it a matter is just stupid. That's a terrible word for it. Anyway, it's other sexual assault victims seeing the NBA elevate this person that was involved in that. The Blazers apparently had their own investigation, and I also want to recognize that, it's going to be men of color that are disproportionately falsely accused of this. All this stuff matters. It's a very complicated, important discussion that people are sensitive to. I'm just going to say, listen to women, believe women. The hiring is what I'm focusing on, is not, and I think the logic behind it is stupid, by the way. This is just not the decision you make from a public relations standpoint. Like, you're flexing as an organization, I guess, and you're not made of Teflon for this. You haven't been good enough, gotten far enough in the playoffs lately, if you're Neil Olshey, to just be made of Teflon and have your decision-making process here be beyond reproach. And it was on Neil Olshey, because Damian Lillard wanted Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups. He did not hire this head coach. I definitely think that there was probably a level of the Blazers wanting to do what their star player prefers. Damian Lillard has 4 years left on his contract, but he's been so loyal publicly to the organization, and he's one of the 10 best players in the league. You want to try and capitalize on his window, and you've failed thus far to do that. If he wanted Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups, Kidd immediately removed his name, and that was another a candidate who had a history of domestic violence issues. Again, it's not on Dame that the hiring took place. So I want to make that clear. What's disappointing, I think, was his response. He, I guess, feels like he was being attacked by fans, and I do really empathize with, or I should say sympathize with, because I can't relate to it. Professional athletes, the social media followings they have, so vast, just the breadth of the criticism, the type of criticism, the language, and everything that's thrown their way. It has to get overwhelming. But his response was just really bizarre to me, where he was saying, do you want me to apologize for not watching the news when I was 7, 8 years old? And I think he could have said that, said, I didn't know. And that's basically what he said. But it was kind of just deflective in the sense that this was his tweet, was really, I was asked what coaches I like, the names I heard, in quotes, and I named them. Sorry I wasn't aware of their history. I didn't read the news when I was 7, 8 years old. I don't support those things. But if this is the route you all want to come at me, say less. It seems more deflective. You simply could have just said, I didn't know. And I was 7, 8, I didn't know. And I don't support these things. But I do think there's an obligation here then to not want him to be your head coach if that's how you truly feel about this. And maybe that's not even his obligation, but now you're using the coaching situation in Portland as an excuse, because this is the opening from the Chris Haynes piece. The enormous backlash from the Portland Trailblazers process to hire a new coach and his concerns on whether a championship contender can be built have become factors that may push the franchise player Damian Lillard out the door, league sources told Yahoo Sports. Lillard has remained loyal to Portland in large part due to the tremendous fan base, but over the last few days, he's seen some of those fans attacking him on social media for a pending coaching hire he played no part in consummating. A preference of Damian Lillard does not mean that the Blazers had to hire him. It should be on them more so than the players to do the due diligence. And Woj did say that they did their own investigation into Billups' incident, and I really hate calling it that, but into the case against Billups. The decision was not on Dame, but the response could have been better. And I don't know that the entire fan base, I saw people defending him. I'm still seeing people defend him as I record this. Maybe we hold Damian Lillard to an unfairly higher standard because that's the type of groundwork he set, at least as a leader on the court and off the court of his team. And maybe we need to learn to separate, detach those two. But I think that Damian Lillard could have come out and said, yeah, I didn't read the news when I was 7, 8 years old. I don't support those things. That wasn't what went into why I wanted him as a coach. And then maybe the Blazers can even, maybe that helps assuage the response to the overall hiring. But this is on the Blazers. Damian Lillard, though, I don't understand how you get from recommending Billups to then deflecting to then saying that the hire's what pushed you out. And don't blame the fans if you're going to exit, because it's not the entire fan base that is criticizing you. That is my official stance on this matter. I wanted to keep it to under 7 minutes. I did about 7.5, so I apologize. Listen to women on this. Listen to people of color on this issue too. So I'm not trying to whitewash this whole thing. Hope you can at least appreciate where I'm coming from. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this mailbag. It was a lot of fun.